This is the Shotgun City Sheriff, the law himself, Clayton Clark.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Kennedy, a.k.a. Mr. Anderson.
This is the young Titan, Aaron Atlas.
Hey, this is Matt Brannigan.
This is the Warbound Hellhound Bo Sword.
This is your favorite drunken pro wrestler, a.k.a. the Bud Light Brawler, Dalton Davis.
This is Lizzie Six.
This is Jake Something.
And this is the jaw-jacking, back-cracking, God created all men equal, and then he made me the sequel, Rohit Raju, and you are listening to the Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast. Hell yeah.
The Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast? Yeah, that's right. I stuttered. Shut up.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spot Show Podcast, an independent wrestling podcast with a few pit stops along the way. You know, here's the thing, Madrox, we missed last week. We told everyone 2 new podcasts this week, but little did they know that not only would they be getting a review, but they would be getting something very, very special. We are here backstage at Elite Pro Wrestling Lethal Lottery 3. We're just back here in the locker room. Right now, it's just Madrox and I. We
got our first guest, Dickie.
We're going to be having a few people cycle in. Here we go. We're going to be having people just kind of come on, be the third mic whenever they want to come on. Why don't you go ahead and sit on right over here? We got you a microphone all set up. Haven't even got to do my introduction yet. Ladies and gentlemen, prime time. Ollie Tharp is here on the podcast. What's up, Ollie?
Hello. Glad to be here. How are you guys?
Good. Man, this is such a full circle moment for me, kind of, because I credit this man for most of the knowledge that I have in the independent wrestling
as well.
business. If you have been in the Midwest and you have not sat under the learning tree of Ollie Tharp, then there is something wrong. But here's the funny thing about Ollie. This is my favorite thing about him. You'll just be watching a random match on YouTube.
It's true.
There's the referee, and it's Ollie.
True.
Like one time I was watching a Mid-South death match DVD, and there was just Ollie just reffing this death match.
Did a lot of those. Did a lot of stuff for IWA Mid-South. Started with them back in 1998.
Oof.
Did a lot of their King of the Death match stuff. And
Man.
it was good times back then. I spent about 10 years with them.
Wow.
So from about, 98 to 2008, something like that.
Wow. So do you have any, I can't believe that this just happened stories? I'm sure that you have plenty of them. Oh, look, we got another guest that just tagged in here. Madrox, why don't you pass that microphone to this man right here?
Yes, sir.
We have 2 of the best refs in the Midwest right now. We've got Ollie here, and we've got Terry Hopper.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, Terry. Welcome to the Spot Show Podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is wonderful to be here. Thank
Awesome. Yeah, we love it. Ollie's just telling us some IWA Mid-South stories.
Oh,
Or
my.
he's about to.
I wish I had something that really stood out, but a lot of that time went so quick. A lot of long shows. We'd start some shows at like 7, 8 o'clock. Wouldn't gather till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my God.
And a lot of times my drives were hour and a half, 2 hours.
So you're trying to get out of there as quickly as possible,
as quickly
then?
as possible, but the rule always was the ring's got to be down first. So
Oof.
you spent a lot of time there. But yeah, seen a lot of guys come through there, a lot of TNA guys and stuff like that.
Well, go ahead.
There's one match I got to ask you about.
Sure.
What was it like reffing Jake the Snake Roberts when he came to the ring with an inflatable snake against Odd Basher?
What show was that? That was in Indianapolis.
That might have been a WCWO show, if I had to guess.
I think Rob Kincaid was running that show someplace in Indianapolis there. But yeah, that was an amazing match. That was a match that I didn't think was ever going to get started. But Jake the Snake came out with a rubber snake, and that was probably around the time that he wasn't doing very well in the business when it came to his private life. But
yeah,
you didn't see a whole lot of that back then. He pretty professional about everything.
Yeah. So would you say that that's one of the wildest things that you've had to see, like Jake the Snake coming to the ring with an inflatable snake?
Yeah, that was weird because whenever you hear about Jake the Snake being on the card, you think he's going to bring Damien with him. And when he walks out with an inflatable snake, I don't think that he can scare too many people with that. It was comedy, but it was all right.
I mean, you have to. Terry, I know.
Yes, sir.
I know that you've got some wild stories of stuff that you've had to see in the ring.
Yeah.
Does it equate to Jake the Snake Roberts coming with an inflatable snake, or can you top that, or is it less than that, or what?
Well, one thing that I really do want to share, this is actually, I believe, the first time that I've ever actually been asked to sit down and give an interview on a podcast. So,
we're glad that we could do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to, first of all, express my gratitude for that.
Hey, thank you for being here, man.
Yeah. One thing that I was actually pointed out on is just only fairly recently, a few years ago, was the fact that I was actually, if not the very first professional wrestling referee to wear gloves, like medical gloves, in the ring.
Whenever someone would hard way, put the glove on?
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. And this actually came from a conversation that I had with my family doctor way years ago. A lot of people may not even realize, who may be listening to this, some of the wrestling fans, but professional wrestling is regulated by state boards in, the state of Missouri being one of them, several other states.
Definitely Kentucky.
Yeah. So I had this conversation with my family doctor, because I was in there to get a physical, to get my license, and we had this conversation about people bleeding and taking care of yourself, and I've seen too many injuries.
Oh yeah.
And I bring up this fact that one of the very first referees to wear gloves, because you want to be safe in there, and I think it's very important to know what you're doing before you get in there, and
that goes for just anybody in this business, because I feel like there's too many people that are just like, I know what I'm doing,
right?
And they get in there and they have no clue. They have no clue at all.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that.
That's awesome,
first
man.
of all. Yeah. And of course, Ollie and I have been in this business now. We've seen a lot of changes come and go. But certainly the business it's getting a lot better now.
Yes.
One thing that something else that I just had a comment on back in the locker room is we've seen so many horror stories of the guys getting into the big hard drugs, back in the day. And I just had this this occasion where I was in a locker room. I believe it was at Iowa, and there were a couple of guys trading off some wrestling toys, like wrestling figures.
Okay, yeah.
And there was a deal going on, a sale going on, just two guys trading wrestling figures. I'm like, guys, you do realize that if this were 1984, those wrestling figures would have been pure crack cocaine, right?
That's so, you say that because, Taker got all that heat a couple of years ago from all these people that are like, back in my day, we were getting stabbed, not talking about comic books. And it's like,
yeah,
Taker, that's kind of a good change. Like, what are you talking about?
Right. Take a look at the business now. Look at how much better it has changed. And I do believe it's really a good thing that, again, I'm blessed to be in the business right now, to have seen these changes come along and to be a part of that wave.
Well, and that brings me to my next point, is that it's like, Terry, you mentioned that, you guys have been around for so long. It's like, you guys have, this is really in the question, it's a comment. You really have seen the evolution of the independent wrestling scene, or wrestling in general, and seen how it has changed. And I think that there's really something to be admired about that, in a way, is that it's like, the stalwarts, staying through all these changes and putting up with all these changes, whether they be good or bad, preferably good. And it's just, for me, I'm coming up on my 12th year in the business, but I only say I've been in for 6, because I took a 6-year break. And I will just say, when I left in 2018 and came back in 2023, the change. Mm-hmm. So to get to see it in real time, I'm sure was just bonkers.
Yeah.
I will say one thing. The internet came along since I got started. And I see the internet as only a very, very good thing, because as the old saying goes, tell a phone, tell a friend, tell a wrestler. Word travels fast in the wrestling business. It travels so much more faster now thanks to the internet and thanks to Facebook and thanks to groups and group chat and just group talk, because if you find scumbags in wrestling now, they don't last long.
Thankfully, yeah.
Right.
I think that's one
and
good
that's
thing
because
to come
of
from
guys like you. And by guys like you, I mean like MadBash coming in and being the positive role models and examples for the younger guys that are coming in and training and just wanting to get up onto that next step, that next level.
We always try. So then that brings up, and Ollie, we'll start with you on this one because we've talked about this a lot. Do you think the internet, and I know the way that I feel about this, I think that it's a yes and no answer. Do you think the internet has helped or hurt wrestling?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I think when it comes to exposing the secrets of wrestling, I think it's kind of hurt, but also in the same, that I think a lot of people either believe or they don't believe. I started in 1997, and the secrecy of the business, which we call kayfabe, was still practiced.
Yeah,
and then probably within 10 years, the internet and stuff like that started exposing, but the wrestling business was getting exposed a little bit here and there on the news and stuff, even back in 98, 99. But when you were in the business, you tried to keep the secrecy because you wanted to draw people in. But like I tell people all the time, people know that movies aren't real.
That's the best way to say.
There's no real Spider-Man, no real Superman. But you go in there and you watch the movie for a little bit and you get lost in it, and that's what we try to do. But has the internet helped it? Yeah, I think it's brought more people to it, but has it hurt it? Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword.
We're here at EPW. I'm going to use them as an example. Sure. If it wasn't for the internet, we wouldn't have the YouTube shows that are going up on YouTube. But then at the same time, you've also got these keyboard warriors that love to get on these message boards and be like, well, I think that this is what's going on. But, you mentioned the kayfabe of it. And like, I think we're in an era now where there's almost like a kayfabe 2.0.
Sure.
Where it's like, we know what's going on here. But then you look at people like MJF who blurs that line a little bit. And he's coming out and blatantly talking about the competition and blatantly talking about it. It's like, ooh, is he really going to do this? Like, that's where kayfabe is kind of turned into now.
In the same respects, too, a long time ago, you had to go out and put posters up for people to know about your shows. Now they can just go on the internet and look and find the shows all over the state of Indiana.
Oh, I digress with that one, sir. They still need the damn flyers up.
Yeah. Madrox and I are firm believers that like the lost art of promotion, where it's like, sure, you can make a Facebook event and invite people, but that's only going to go so far.
On your Facebook page, like, who are you friends with?
True.
Workers. Are workers going to come pay to watch another worker work that they're not booked on the show? No.
Yeah.
But the days of flyering a town have almost ceased. You don't hardly see it anymore. I mean, you could go around a lot of towns now when shows are and barely even see a flyer, especially in that town where the show's going on, because so much is put on the internet about the show. They expect people just to show up based off that.
Oh, you'll be happy to know that MadBash Wrestling is bringing it back.
We're trying to bring it back as best we can. I mean, wrestling is not a build it and they will come mentality.
Absolutely.
It really isn't. It should be. But once you get the people in, then you can start doing a build it and they will come. Terry, do you agree with all that? Like,
absolutely. I remember reading a book back in the early 90s called Guerrilla Marketing by J. Conrad Levinson. As a very famous author, has an entire series, and it's also important to mention this here on this podcast for anyone listening. You want to know how to promote any business? Go read that series. It's Guerrilla Marketing, J. Conrad Levinson. And in it, he just goes down a whole litmus test of you have to be advertising on newspapers, on the radio, and television, and just generally getting your name out there in any way possible, and just making the connections. But it's like, absolutely right. We do find ourselves on Facebook to where we're just inside this bubble, inside our own shell that we've just created here. As far as the internet, I say it's a great thing. And as far as kayfabe, that's the kayfabe 2.0. That's
Yeah.
a wonderful way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a new way. Because, like, my opinion, old school kayfabe was that man really is the Undertaker's brother. But now it's just more of that guy might actually be leaving that company and going to this other company. And I think on the level that we have with the indies, especially on this level, you run into a problem where a story for this company might not really coexist very well with the story that's going on at that company. So it takes it's almost for the worker to take it into their own hands almost and try to make it not necessarily a multiverse, but a single universe. And like you see it with what we're doing. You see our MadBash boys, they're wearing that MadBash armband, and we're creating a continuity of where it's like, sure, they might not agree with each other at this company, but at the end of the day, they're still representing that brand, and that brings them that commonality. And I think there should be more of that. That's kayfabe 2.0.
It would be really great to know that, obviously, that there are fans of WWE and there are fans of AEW. You can tell they are fans of that, or Kiss, or any other major rock band. You can tell by the shirts that they wear and the clothes that they do. It would be really great to start seeing more Clayton Clark T-shirts out there, in more Kindle Fire T-shirts out there, so on and so forth. I think it would be great to just be able to know that there are fans of independent wrestling, so much as there are of the major companies. Well, I don't know. How do we do that? How do we get them out there?
That's the $1 million question.
Make yourselves known. If you're fans of independent wrestling over WWE and AEW, I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's the thing that I brought up. This big news just came that WrestleMania is coming to Indianapolis.
Oh, big news.
And so's Royal Rumble, and so's a 2-night SummerSlam. Okay, I put this on Facebook. I said, all the people that I am seeing share this news. When's the last time you went to a local independent wrestling show?
Yeah, and they're all over the place.
And they're all over. And specifically people from Terre Haute, I was like, when's the last time you went to a hybrid show? Or even seen a MadBash wrestling match? It's like, I got news for you guys. This stuff is grassroots. It starts on this level. And this news that you're excited for, like, oh, there's WrestleMania is going to be coming. If it wasn't for this grassroots, there wouldn't fucking be a WrestleMania for you to do.
I took it a step farther. I called out the workers. I'm like, if you guys were sharing your upcoming show flyers the way you're sharing this news, there wouldn't be an empty seat in the fucking house.
That's true. So true. Very true.
Yeah, but again, it just comes to the complacency of it. I feel like I think that people are always going to, and by people I mean the wrestlers, are always it's almost one of those you don't know what you got till it's gone ideas. It's like, sure, it's there right now, but you still got to put in that legwork, But I mean, it's that double-edged sword of where it's like, how much of it truly does fall on the promoter and how much of it falls on the boys.
Well, you got a lot of kids. You got a lot of kids that go to the WWE shows and they see the Undertaker and John Cena, and you might get to see them once every so many months.
Yeah,
but you can go to all these independent shows and maybe see the guys, and also get up and touch the guys and say hi, and get a personal autograph right there in front of your face. And it's what we do is wrestling. WWE is just a bigger stage. It's just got all the fancy lights, all the music. But a lot of people seem to think that the indie wrestling is more in touch with what wrestling is than what WWE, because they've went into entertainment and superstars and stuff like that. They don't even call their guys wrestlers anymore. They're superstars. Oh, did they bring it back? We'll see.
Yeah, they've started saying wrestling more.
Well,
and
good.
It's funny, Triple H, I just saw a headline or something where Triple H had said, we're a show about wrestling.
There you go.
We're not wrestling. He said movie or show. It doesn't matter. But he just flat out said, hey, we're about wrestling. We're not wrestling.
On the grassroots level, on what independent wrestling really is, I became a fan once again, just getting back into this. And I spent a lot of time here where we are right now in Odin, Indiana, with Elite Professional Wrestling. I became a fan again because I started watching and seeing by baby steps. It's a process that we came up with here in between me and Mr. Stephen Mitchell, the promoter. It's a baby step process to where you can literally see the wrestlers, the competitors grow and get through their careers little by little, step by step by step, to where if you take where they were when they began and to where they are now, you can see, oh my goodness, this was a giant leap that they just did in their career. You can only get that through the grassroots level by attending independent professional wrestling.
And that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it, because again, like Terry just said, like I said a minute ago, like it all starts, like there wouldn't be this WrestleMania for you to be excited for.
True.
If, because the WWF started out as grassroots with
Yes.
Bruno Sammartino out there as like 17,000 days as champion or whatever it was. But that's the thing that you got to look at, is that you look at a lot of these indies and the growth that they are having, brother, who's to say that, like, and I'm not going to say a specific company at all, any company at all, they could become the second or third largest company just by, look at what GCW has done. They were just another indie, and now they're huge.
Top 4.
Yeah, they're what now?
Top 4.
They're within the top 4. Yeah. And then, you talk about, which this is going to be a good segue, because I have stuff I want to talk to you about, Terry. This is a good segue. And, you look at TNA, for example, like they've had to rebrand their entire fucking thing, and now they're back to people caring about it. But so, Ollie was talking about working IWA Mid-South,
Yes.
and you said a lot of TNA guys came through. We got a TNA guy on this podcast right now. We got Terry Hopper on here. Terry Hopper was a referee for TNA in the asylum,
original
in the asylum
TNA.
days,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Oh
in
my
Nashville.
God! I gotta know
Nashville,
all about
Tennessee.
that, Terry. I am one of
Yeah.
the biggest, like, that era of TNA. Like, I would say from the
Yeah.
start up until about 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
I was the biggest TNA mark in the world.
Were you really?
I love that era of TNA, man.
Did you actually buy any of the weekly Wednesday programs that they have for $10?
I did.
No kidding.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy them every week.
Sure.
But I
yeah.
would, every couple of weeks or so, like if there was a big match being built up.
I'm going to be honest,
know?
if it had Raven or ICP on it, I bought him.
Yeah, how dare you forget to put your phone on mute, Madrox, by the way.
What a concept. Did you like that concept?
I think for what it was back in the day, it definitely was a really cool concept to do it like that. Now, they could easily like do something like that with like iPay-per-view or like, you got IWTV out there, like with a subscription. Like, that was really one of the first, like, I'm not going to say subscription, but in a way, it kind of was, because you're subscribing, you're paying the, what was it, $20 a week or $20 a week?
$10 a week.
It was $10 a week.
Every Wednesday.
Yeah, that's $40 a month.
Broadcasted live.
Not bad.
Yeah, broadcasted live from the 4-H barn at Nashville Fairgrounds there in Nashville, Tennessee, every Wednesday. Wow. And it was actually absolutely incredible. And I know you guys know that, my background is actually in radio, television, broadcasting, and I have a production company in sound and lightings for special events. So that was actually one thing that I was just flabbergasted on every time that I was there every week, to where they just magically transformed this ugly, dirty, dingy, literal 4-H barn. You go to a county fair, you see the cattle and the horses and the chickens. 4-H barn, and they turn it into this incredible arena. And I'm also from the school of thought that I was a fan of the 6-sided ring. So
that's a tough one, because I know people hate it and people love it. But
to me,
there's no middle ground on a 6-sided ring,
right? Yeah,
none at all.
You either love it or hate it. To me, I loved it. I love being in there. I thought it was new. I thought it was innovative.
So you were there during the 6-sided ring era?
Yes. During the original 6-sided ring Asylum days.
Yeah, because I know early Asylum, they were still 4-sided.
Yeah. This was the 6-sided ring era, and
love it.
Yeah, it's the equivalence of being in there of a 20-sided ring, or excuse me, a 20 by 20 ring.
Yeah,
in size. So a lot of room to spread out. Felt very comfortable in it, and again, love my time there.
Yeah, that's so cool. Do you have a specific match that you reffed there that you're like, yeah, that's the one? That's the one. Like, that's my favorite one on my list.
It was, I don't know if it was my very first one, but probably one of the first ones. I just mentioned this because it was, I really began to sink my teeth in there.
Okay.
And really begin to really learn what TNA actually was. And that's development for the big company.
Yeah.
Let's just say. And it was the alpha male Monty Brown versus Chance Prophet. Chance Prophet was from the Indies. I had worked with him once or twice before. The alpha male Monty Brown was the one that they were grooming to go on to WWE at the time.
Yeah, now see, that's my era. That's my era right there. Monty Brown, the alpha male, feel the pounce.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, that was good shit.
Yeah, yeah, and I, of course, for any television production, I got there early.
Yeah,
and we went over the match just a little bit, and it was again. Not my first time there, but I think maybe my second time there. And I'm already being asked to go out into the crowd because Monty Brown was just going to take him all over the arena and just mop the floor with them because this was his spotlight match to where it was just him going over. So, but yeah. And it was one of those, it's all over. I'm seeing myself up on the screen, out of the corner of my eye. And it's just, yes, this is it. I sinking my teeth into this. Finally made it.
That's probably a high that you've been chasing too, to be like, man, this is pretty cool,
Yeah, because I've been working on every single indie that I could get my hands on, and that's what you have to do if you want to be in this business, be in independent wrestling. Just make yourself available, make those phone calls, make those contacts. Just try to get out there and work every show that you can.
That's you talk about the grassroots thing, like that. It all starts with the effort that you put into it. But talking about with starting out, now that I finally got him here, I've given him his flowers plenty of times when we've been separate. But I'm telling you right now, this man to my right, Ollie, if it was not for this man right here, I would not be in the wrestling business. So you have him to blame pretty much. True. But
my fault.
Ollie, my first show I ever worked, I didn't even intend on, and Terry, I don't even know if you know this story or not. It was, I had come for a tryout. Okay. And I don't know how much of this day you remember at all, or if anything. What? Yeah. So I got a message from old Michael Madrox, hadn't talked to him in a couple of years, and he's like, hey man, you should come to this tryout. We're doing tryouts for wrestlers, managers, ring announcers, whatever. And I was like, okay, man, I'll be there. And I just so happened, I was like, I should probably bring the outfit that I would wear if I were to do this, which was smart on my behalf.
What company was this?
This was CWF.
CWF. Gotcha. Yeah,
this was in the venue.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Always bring your gear.
Always. Absolutely. Logan Madrox is sitting over here, and that's the advice that we give him is that, don't worry, we're not going to put you on the microphone. That's the advice that we always give him is always bring your gear. So basically, the ring announcer for that night no-showed, and Madrox knew I could talk because we went all through school together, and he knew that I was a loudmouth. And they were like, I don't know if you had the book or what you had. I don't know what your role was, but they said, go talk to Ollie.
Yeah.
He's got an offer for you.
Yeah. I was booking a little bit of it, but there was quite a few of us.
But you came up and you said, hey, man, there's no ring announcer tonight, right? And I said, yeah. And you said, do you want to do it? And I said, let me think on it. Let me think on it. And you're like, okay, brother, that's fine. So I sat back and I was like, man, I just wasn't prepared for this. I'm not going to do it. So I go up to Ollie and I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I said, I'm not ready. And he's like, hey, you know what? That's fine. I'm of the mindset that if you don't want to do something, I'm not going to make you do it. I get it completely. Just sit in the crowd, get familiar with it, watch the show. But there was a twinkle in his eye of, you fucking idiot. I just laid out this opportunity for you and you're not going to take it. Yeah. So then Ollie walks away.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute. So then I give it like 5 minutes or so and I go, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. And then Ollie was like, okay, get up there and get dressed. And then we were off to the races from there.
Well, I remember when I first talked to you, I was impressed on how comfortable you were just talking.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, man, if anybody can do this, that kid back there can do it.
Let's be honest. That's the only thing Dickie Wabash is good at.
That's all I'm good at. I'm talking.
Very good talker.
Very good talker, brother. I've made a career out of it.
Yeah, and I think you threw your hat in the managing thing for a little while after you wanted to get away from, because you wanted more, which was great.
I did want more, yeah. And that was another thing that you had like a sixth sense almost, because I remember standing in the ring with you. This was one of the last times I ring announced, and you just came up. I had announced this person, and they were still getting their heat or whatever, and you come up and you go, "You okay, Dickie?" And I went, "I'm here, Ollie." And you said, "Well, talk to me when the show's over."
Yeah.
And then you could tell I wasn't on my A game. And I just went, "Ollie, I don't want to ring announce. I want to be a manager." And then you said, "Okay, well, we'll try to get you in that role." Here's a story. I know that I'm not going to name names, but the guy that was the owner of the company,
sure,
I went to him and I said, "I'm not comfortable being ring announcer anymore. I want to manage." And he tells me, now, Terry, I know you've not heard this story. This is the epitome of a scumbag promoter. He says, I just don't got any spots for managers right now, man. I'm sorry about it. Next show, because I had talked to Michael Madrox. I was going to manage him and his tag team partner.
You managed us to 3 championships.
Yeah, I did. I managed you guys at other companies. And I was like, I think it's time to bring it to CWF, my home company, you know?
Sure.
So I come up to him and I'm like, so-and-so, goes, just don't have any spots for managers right now, man. I'm sorry about that. And I said, oh, okay, I'll keep ring announcing. The next show, guess who comes out as a manager? The promoter.
For the team you pitched the idea for.
For the team that I wanted to pitch.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was like, I'm done with this company. And then Ollie knows that time period very well. That was the end of 2012, where there was some gears starting to turn about another company popping up. That was a hectic time. The end of 2012, the beginning of 2013.
Well, the one thing is, if you're around this business long enough and you talk to guys and you watch them, you can usually tell who wants it and who don't. And that was one thing about you that I realized, that you were a good talker. You were comfortable talking. You were comfortable around people. But you also had this little devious look in your face every once in a while that you just wanted more. And it's like, I think you should try this. But at that time, a lot of times when you're helping guys with shows, you got more than one guy that's got some say-so in it. So you could throw things out there. But I think you've done a great job. Look where you're at now. You haven't give up. You took a break, but we all take breaks.
I had to take that break, man. The business was killing me, man. I had to get my mental game right. And so we're going to start to wrap up here. We're going to maybe try to cycle in some other people here for a little bit. But before we do, I've got one more Ollie story.
I got 2 things to cover too as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. Whenever, yeah. So, do you want to cover them now?
I just want to pull back the curtain a little bit. I don't even think you know this story.
Okay, yeah. You go ahead and tell your story.
Break off from that company.
Yeah.
Ollie, do you remember Maximum Pro Wrestling that almost formed in the early stages?
I remember that. I remember the name. I don't remember much about who was involved in it, but I do remember the name of it.
Me, you, and Mikey.
Okay.
This is back when that promoter was iffy about running shows, and we're like, we're not just doing this shit out of the garage.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the garage era.
Yeah.
That was before me.
The 3 of us almost pulled off and started New Wave before New Wave was a thing, and was going to be Maximum Pro.
Wow. So here's my story. This is when I knew that I liked Ollie. So, like he said, I always had that devious side in me. So whenever New Wave Pro started, believe it or not, as a manager, I was their top heel. People hated me. And I was feuding with Josh Steele, who was the most over baby face in the area. And it builds up to...
Full of charisma.
Full of just the most charisma in the world. Ollie,
Yeah.
would you agree?
Yeah.
Josh, I love you so much. So if he hears this, so we're going over. It led to a match. It was going to be the big blow off. The dastardly heel's finally going to get his comeuppance, and we did the gimmick where it was one arm tied behind Josh's back, and the idea, the finish was supposed to be. He was going to AA me because that was his finish, but his arm was behind his back, and I didn't feel comfortable taking that bump. And again, it goes back to Ollie being like, hey, I'm not going to make people do something that they're not comfortable doing. Yeah.
Absolutely right, because it comes down to you and comfortability.
Yeah. And
if you're not comfortable, don't do it.
Now I could probably
If you're not comfortable doing something, kid, Don't do it.
Yeah, he just gave that to Logan. Getting some. You're getting a seminar right now, kid.
We should tell the people real quick who Logan is. We spoke of him twice now, but nobody knows who he is.
He's been on the podcast.
Oh, okay. Then
the people are very familiar.
Nobody
with
cares
Logan.
who you are, Logan.
Oh, that's not true. They love you,
I was
Logan.
trying to put you over, and he didn't even want to do it.
They love you.
We're shooting this kid down today.
But so anyway, we get into the match, and it's one arm tied behind the back, and Josh gets me in a dragon sleeper. That's the finish, tap out. Ollie, Josh Steele's celebrating. The arm is untied now. Josh is celebrating. Ollie gets down. You good, Dickie? And I went, yeah. And he goes, he's gonna have to AA you now, brother. And I went, what? And he said, gotta kill your heat real quick or something. I don't remember what you said. And then I was like, what? No. And then he's like, Ollie was like, you got to do it, Dickie. And I was like, okay, fine. Tell him I'll do it. And then Josh Steele bends down and he goes, AA. And I went, huh? And he picks me up and he AAs me. Yeah. And then Ollie, and I had bumped before, and Ollie gets down after he's selling and he goes, see, it wasn't so bad, was it? And I just went, fuck you, Ollie, because I'm blown up. I'm gassed to the gill.
Didn't work on the cardio with that gift of gab, huh?
I had no cardio, still have no cardio, but
it is funny though when you go around to different shows and stuff, you meet these different guys, and there's a lot of guys that have it, a lot of guys that don't. And I will say honestly, Dickie and Madrox sitting here, when I first met Madrox, he was just this big lanky kid. He was wanting to be a wrestler. He was trying to learn. He got into a few things, and I'm glad that I got to meet these guys because I got a little bit of knowledge that I can give them, and I tried to give it to them, and I hope they took it, and I hope they're doing well with it. But they're all good
Absolutely.
kids. They're all good kids. There's a lot more stories we could probably tell.
Oh, there's plenty. There's plenty. I just, the one real quick, I know I said one last one, then we're going to start to wrap up here, but I always, the analogy that you taught me is that a wrestling show should be like an ice cream shop where there's all these different flavors to choose from. I don't always want vanilla. Sometimes I want Rocky Road. Sometimes I want, pralines and cream. Sometimes I want chocolate. Sometimes I want strawberry. And ever since you gave me that advice, Ollie, I've always used that with everything that I've ever done in the business. So sincerely, thank you. I don't think you truly realize how much of an impact you've had on my career, Ollie.
Well, that's good.
You really are. And then Terry, the little time that we've been around you, about a year and a half or so, thank you so much for the advice that you've given us. Thank you for taking Logan under your wing, and you as well, Ollie, taking Logan under your wing and doing what MadBash is about, and that is paying it forward in wrestling.
Well, thank you for just essentially picking up that ball and running with it. And
we're trying
very far with it.
We're trying.
Just the interactions you spoke of earlier. That both of us were on the creative committee here in Elite Professional Wrestling, and just some of the conversations that we have where we're just picking each other's brains. Again, we could be here literally all day.
Oh,
just
absolutely.
telling stories and just going through ideas, and it's a pleasure. Again, it's my honor. Thank you. Really.
Man.
Thank you again.
I think we got to have both of you guys back on at some point.
Absolutely.
I think we're gonna wrap up this portion of it. We're gonna maybe grab some other people, see if they want to come on here and talk. If not, short podcast this week. But hey, we had all the storms come through. We already gave you a podcast on Monday, guys. Things were a little bit hectic this week. I had no power at the studio, so we're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants right now. So if we come back with more people, we'll see you then. If not, we'll see all you Patreon backers on Paid Show.
And as I said earlier, Dickie likes to talk because Madrox hasn't hardly got to say anything during this podcast.
I'm back here sharing a mic with Terry Hopper. It's understandable.
Terry had the microphone, brother.
Yeah.
Terry had the microphone. But
thank you so much for having us on here.
Hey,
awesome.
Ollie, Terry, again, thank you guys so much.
Nothing but respect and love for both of you guys.
So much respect.
Thank you.
Love it. This episode is brought to you by Yoo-Hoo, a product of Keurig Dr. Pepper. So here's what I want you to picture right now, right? You're on a long road trip. You're driving along and you're thinking, man, I could really go for a nice, sweet, refreshing drink. You pull into a gas station and the first thing you see is Yoo-Hoo. And I got to tell you, grabbing that Yoo-Hoo, that's going to be the right decision every single time. Yoo-Hoo is available in a variety of flavors, vanilla, strawberry, but here at MadBash, our personal favorite is chocolate. I'm going to tell you about Yoo-Hoo a little bit more, right? We absolutely love this stuff here at MadBash. We cannot get enough of it. And you know what? We're going to sweeten the pot a little bit here thanks to Yoo-Hoo. if you see us at a wrestling show and you buy a MadBash wrestling sticker, you are entitled to 1 free bottle of Yoo-Hoo on MadBash Studios. Limit 1 per customer while supplies last. Now, come on, guys. You can't beat that deal with a stick. Again, MadBash would like to thank Yoo-Hoo so much for sponsoring this episode. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is also brought to you by Elite Pro Wrestling. Here's the thing about Elite Pro Wrestling, right? You have them to thank for the Spot Show podcast in many different ways. Elite Pro Wrestling gave MadBash Studios our first opportunity when we decided to come back into the wrestling business. So Elite Pro Wrestling is one of the OG backers. We love Elite Pro Wrestling so much. They are putting on incredible shows every single month. You should absolutely be there, whether it be in Odin, Indiana, Washington, Indiana. We would love to see you in the crowd there at Elite Pro Wrestling for every single thing that you need to know about EPW. Head on over to EliteProfessionalWrestling.com. There you are going to find dates, events, links, everything that you need to know about EPW. Thank you so much for being a day one sponsor, EPW. We very much appreciate it. Well, we're back. We found Benny Bray.
Where did he come from?
The Braymosphere. Where is the Braymosphere in relation to Parts Unknown, by the way?
Braymosphere, it's compared to Parts Unknown. Parts Unknown's a little bit of a darker place. I don't like to go there too much. The Braymosphere is a state of mind. It's an internal place you go whenever you're in deep meditation that we all find during the day. I always dreamed I would be on this podcast with you guys, for real. I'm not even lying.
He's marking out right now.
I woke up and now I'm on the podcast.
There we go. But yeah, shout out to Benny Bray. He's our second half guest that we got here.
Shout out to the newest member of the MadBash Wrestling family.
I think that might be the first time that we've actually publicly said it.
There you guys go.
Hey, Madrox just leaked it. Benny Bray, the latest MadBash boy. So I think that might be news to you as well.
Hey, I greatly appreciate it.
I know we had talked about it a little bit, but
I feel like I've been politicking around. I've been asking guys how I get in MadBash, and you guys gave me the opportunity on this podcast. That's incredible.
I feel like John Cena making wishes right now.
We are, yeah, we are. But no, I mean, we got the way that because here's the thing about the Spot Show podcast. I'm sure you listen. That curtain is dead and buried. We peek back behind that curtain all the time. No, we'd been talking with you for a while, and then whenever we had the opportunity, Cutler put out the open challenge. You answered the open challenge, whether it be him or Jay Silva. It depends on who wins the match. We were like, you know what? Benny really is someone that, we look at you, and you definitely fit the mold of what we stand for with MadBash, of where it's like, because there's a lot of scuzzbags in wrestling, and you definitely are not one of those scuzzbags. So, I mean,
see, you two didn't have a lot of history, but me and Benny have a lot of history.
That's kind of what I wanted to get
together. Yeah. And Dickie was like, when we first talked about MadBash, he's like, who's people that would follow this code? I'm like, Benny Bray.
And I was like, who's Benny Bray?
He's like, who's Benny Bray? I was like, he's coming to the next show. Just watch and wait till you meet him. And Dickie's like, oh, fuck yeah.
Here's why I like Benny Bray. You're always throwing out that compliment, whether it be towards my shoes or my shirts. Every time.
I appreciate that. Wrestling can be a difficult thing for a lot of people. And I first started in Ohio Valley Wrestling, and I experienced a lot of that old school bullying when I first came in.
Yeah.
And I never wanted anyone to feel like that, because I think wrestling is at its best when we help each other.
And that's literally what we do here with MadBash. So with that being said, it's funny that you say that, because you are one of the more genuinely nice guys that I have seen in wrestling. Do you feel that nice guys finish last mentality is real, or do you think it's all just kind of ugh?
Probably partly it is probably true. At some points, I think in general you'll eventually come out where you want to be, but I've always thought to myself, I would rather be genuine and maybe lose an opportunity here or there than cut people down and get ahead that way. But in MadBash, apparently we don't have to worry about that.
No, not at all. We're just here to help each other out. And it's scary because, like, I've sat down and had conversations with you and stuff, but, like, to hear you say the stuff like that, it's like, man, Benny Bray and I really are kind of cut from the same mold, because I'm the same way. I don't have it in me to be a dick. Like,
Bullshit.
well, hang
Bullshit.
on. Well, now to quote Jay Silva, hold on, dude. I guess I can be, but I'm never going to be that type that will put my foot out to trip the person that is running for the thing that I'm running for.
I mean, don't ever accept disrespect from anybody, but, you know, I believe the energy that you give out comes back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really ties into this whole Braymosphere mentality that you've created. So what was the process of coming up with this whole, you know, you kind of do like you're like just this chill, laid back guy from the Braymosphere. What was the origins of all that?
Well, I used to struggle with alcoholism, and I've been sober now 5 years, but
congratulations.
Whenever I came, me and you share a love of non-alcoholic alcohol.
Yeah, zero proof brothers, baby. Zero proof brothers.
But when I came out of that, I used meditation and yoga as my main way to center myself and create endorphins, and it helped center me. And throughout my wrestling career, I've done all kinds of things, and nobody's ever really said you're a bad wrestler in the ring, but I've never had a gimmick. My gimmicks have always been kind of random and never felt like myself. And all the best gimmicks are, you know, like Steve Austin, like you could explain what that guy is, beer drinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can explain a good gimmick. And my gimmick was really, I just looked inward, and really it's not too much different than my actual self out there. It's not something I sat and came up with. It was something that kind of my wife helped me. She looked at me and she said, why don't you just do that in the ring? Like, that's who you are as a person. And I was like, well, no one else is really doing it. So, and it's the first time I've ever felt a connection with the fans over the past year or so.
Yeah.
So.
It always seems like it's the wife or the significant other.
Yeah.
That just looks and it's like, why don't you just go do that? Like you mentioned Stone Cold. Like it was his girlfriend at the time that said Stone Cold Steve Austin or whatever. That was a terrible British accent. But so
your tea's going to get stone cold.
Yeah, your tea's going to get stone cold. But I think that's the crazy thing about it is that you're the prime example of you just take what you know in your everyday life, and then now you've found the Benny Bray, if you want to call it. I don't know if you can call it a character, because you're just being yourself.
And I don't feel like I'm trying to push something at the crowd as much now. It felt like a struggle to try to get a crowd to react to me, and now it just feels natural.
Yeah, and I think that you're always at your best. Like the general you're always going to be at your best when you're natural. And like, so Madrox, you say that you guys go very far back. Let's go far back.
When did we first meet?
Let's
talk
about
TSW
early.
back in like what?
I always knew you in passing. We were probably thrown into some random. TSW is famous for having these cluster
scrambles.
Yeah, cluster scramble matches.
Do you remember the scramble match at the park or the fairgrounds where it was like 6-on-6? It was you, Johnny Richards, Chloe, and I don't remember the other teammates against me, Travis Weir, I think Fuzz, and 2 other random people.
I could never forget any match I've had with Fuzz.
That was my favorite match working with you.
I was a big fan of the Kool-Aid gimmick. That was top.
Dickie didn't get to experience the Kool-Aid
No,
gimmick.
I was gone at that time. No, the Madrox...
stupidest shit I ever did was bring Kool-Aid out to the ring to work rednecks that used to come to the ring with bottles of moonshine. So I was like, fuck it, I'm bringing Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And it just blew up, dude. Like, I was baptizing people in the crowd in the name of my Lord and Savior, Jim Jones.
It was ironically dark, but it got over because I don't think the fans really drew the connection that they were making, but I thought it was fantastic.
Parents would bring kids kicking and screaming to the side of the ring for them to get baptized. It was great.
See, I've heard these stories. I know these stories, but I just had a reaction. And it's like, I'm always going to have that reaction every time I hear that you were able to get away with this shit. Like, it's just like, oh my God. Like,
it was TSW, dude. I got away with everything.
Oh, absolutely. And it seems like that everything always comes back to TSW here on the Spot Show podcast. There for a while, we would just say this benefit show wrestling company that we would all work for. But at a certain point, we were just like, fuck it, TSW.
Yeah.
That's that's where we all.
I love
cut
that
our
it's called
teeth.
Tri-State Wrestling, but I don't know if they've ever even had a show outside of Indiana.
Or Vincennes for that matter.
Vincennes, Bicknell, and Washington. They've had those shows there.
yeah.
That's for the tri-states. It should be Tri-County.
Where's the Blue Jean Center?
Monroe County.
Okay, yeah.
I've never
Monroe
worked the
City.
Blue Jean Center. I always hear these stories of this fabled Blue Jean Center, and I've never heard.
I'm not
never
going to
worked
fucking
there.
lie. I love the Blue Jean Center.
Yeah, it is honestly one of my favorite.
The upstairs
venues.
wall where it's got like all the old workers' names autographed to it.
Yeah.
Like Jerry Lawler has been through there and signed it and everything. It's really fucking cool.
Yeah, like I hear all these stories. Like Bo Sawyer was the first person that I heard mention the Blue Jean Center, and I was like, damn, like there's just this Southern Indiana trash just going through the Blue Jean Center. I say that with love, by the way. I'm not saying that anyone that worked there was
There's
trash.
no telling
but-
what happened in that locker room.
No, not at all. Yeah, I don't think, because I was only in TSW for a little bit. I don't remember Benny being there.
Benny you came in after the whole Vex crew came in, didn't you?
I was there probably 2014 to
Oh, yeah, I was gone then.
2006, 17 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely gone by
Because
then.
me and you left around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely gone from that. I think my last time in I was only there like twice. I only worked there like twice, but that's was such a lasting memory from that place. Like you just, I do remember I did lose a blazer in the Eagles Lodge, and I'm very sad about that to this day.
You also made $10 off a lightsaber.
I did make $10 off of a lightsaber. So we walk across the street to Goodwill, and we get a lightsaber, and I come to the ring with it, and then I signed it, and I was like, "Who wants it? $10." Made $9 that day. That was the only pay that I got from that show.
Yeah, that's a big payday for TSW.
Oh, that was a huge payday for TSW. Are you kidding me? Well, hang on. I might have actually only walked away with about $5 because I may have bought some nachos or something.
Oh, yeah, I guarantee you did.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's the thing that when we were first starting to come back around, Madrox was like, "Oh, Benny Bray's going to be there." And I'm like, "Who?" And then he's like, "Oh, trust me. When you meet, you'll love Benny. He's a really down-to-earth dude." And then
See, I put you over.
he did.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Oh, he put you over huge. And then I meet you, and I start seeing like this character that, well, again, I don't even want to call it a character because it's just you, but I'm just like, man, I really vibe with that. Like that is such a cool concept. Like you're essentially just a yogi, and you're just out there like, oh yeah, you know,
He's like babyface Simon Dean.
yeah. Dude, we may book a character now. The Bray system come out with protein bars and protein shakes.
powders.
Yeah, that big heel turn comes. That might be what you need to do.
Yeah, that actually would. I've heard that suggested before that it would be a good heel gimmick. I mean, especially if I get the segue, you know.
Imagine Benny Bray coming to the ring.
Do they still make those?
No,
They don't?
Do you know this is a true story? The creator of the Segway died on a Segway. Fell off a
Really?
cliff. That's a true story.
Where the fuck would you be riding a Segway near a cliff?
I don't know, but I think it's one of those urban legends on the internet where it might be true, but it's just like the truth kind of got lost in the.
Reality's often stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
Benny Bray's going to pass away doing a downward dog.
Absolutely.
That's a good way to go out, actually.
pretty solid way to go out. But I think one of the first things that I really contributed to the Benny Bray Braymosphere is you do the Bisaiku knee as your finish.
Yeah.
And on commentary, I called it the Ben Saiku knee. And I told you after the show, and you were like, yeah,
I kept it.
I'm keeping that. Yeah. I'm keeping that. I love that. But yeah, man, it's absolutely like, and I hate that we kind of sprung it on you like that without really telling you. But when we were making the list of like all the people that were like, these are guys that we want to work with, that we just look at, their vibe is where we are. Benny Bray is absolutely one of the guys that we're going to be putting on there. So
I'm greatly humbled that you would have that opinion of me, that anyone would have that opinion of me is truly a blessing for me.
I mean, I don't know if he's making me really kind of get a little bit of a complex here. It's like, is my opinion really that high? Let's go.
You have a lot of creative energy. You're a very creative person, and
try to be.
That's something that I'm not as creative as you, so whenever you give me a move name like Ben Psycho Knee, I mean, that's true. You can name all my moves if you want to.
Well,
we can do that.
We also
Not all of them are going to be good, but we can do that.
we'll try to see if I come up with something new tonight.
We get 1 out of 10 ideas good.
We also came up with the scale of anytime you lose your headband, you go down 20% in power.
Oh, I really should put that on for the comeback, shouldn't I?
Yes.
You should.
So we have this whole wrestling science. Benny Bray loses his headband, he goes down 20%. But if the straps come down, that increases your power 10%.
Unless you lose your suspenders, then that's another 20% down.
Yeah, we need to map all this out. Like the dumb shit that we say on commentary.
It's like Street Fighter where the bar goes down.
Yeah, your limit break and whatnot. Yeah. Like Benny's about to hit the V trigger, not the Kenny Omega knee, but from Street Fighter. Like, yeah, it's just the dumb shit that comes to our head on commentary, man. I don't know. We just get in like this altered state out there and we just start saying whatever comes to.
You never know what's going to be over till you throw it out there.
100%. Absolutely. One thing that I do want to talk with you about, and then we're probably going to start to kind of give a little bit of a wrap up here. I don't remember exactly how we initially got on this, but we mentioned it at the top of this, the whole zero proof drink. You said you got off booze, you got on the drink. I've just straight edge. I don't drink at all. Yeah. And I always had that mentality of like, man, it sucks that like I'm looking at all these people drink these drinks and I feel a little bit left out, and I know I have an addictive personality and I just wouldn't be able to do it. I know I would fall off the wagon. So like, do you think that it's something that, from your perspective as someone who is healing from that, do you think it helps you with that? Or do you think it's something that if you do it too much, you could easily see yourself backsliding? Or do you think you have enough self-control with it?
Oh, I definitely took a period where I didn't do it at all. And then I kind of use it in social situations because my friends still drink. I'm still around people that drink alcohol all the time. And
same. I'm friends with Dalton Davis.
Yeah. I still like to have a beer when I get in the pool, I actually just really love the taste of beer. I like the taste. And if I get that, I understand where some people psychologically, like, if they drink the beer, it can make them want an alcoholic beer. But I really don't miss the buzz of alcohol anymore. After what I had to do to withdraw and come off of it, I never wanted to feel that again. Yeah. So I think that's always been in my mind as far as, like, going through that hell kind of, that perspective in my head. I'm never going to let that go. So for me, I just like the taste of beer. And
yeah. Do you think that because I actually had one of these moments, do you think there's a little bit of a weird judgment thing when you buy it? Because I kind of felt that a couple of times where, like, if I buy like a zero proof, like 12 pack of something, like there's people looking at me, well, what's the point? It's just like, can I not just drink something just for the sake of drinking it? Like, yeah. Do I need to have a reasoning for
some
you?
of your mocktails are pretty good.
Yeah, I make really good mocktails, man. I make really good ones. I get that zero proof whiskey, rum. Tastes just like the real stuff from what I've been told. But there's literally...
without the burn.
Yeah, there's no alcohol in it. And
I'd be up to try those.
I need to share a zero proof drink
Benny needs
with
to
Benny
come
Bray.
down to Terre Haute.
You need to come up to Terre Haute one day, man. I'll make you some drinks, man. We do some good stuff.
We know some guys. We'll get you booked for the day. Come down, hang out with us one night.
Hey, that sounds fantastic.
I just discovered zero proof White Claws.
Oh, I've had that. Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah.
And that was where I talk about the whole judgmental thing. Is I'm checking out at whatever store I bought it, and the guy the guy that was bagging it, he was like, zero proof, what's the point? And then it kind of offended me. I looked at him and I said, because I have alcoholism in my family and I don't want to become that. And then he just goes, okay, fair enough. And then I was just like, why do you got to be a dick, man? Like, just don't judge people for what they do. Like,
yeah, they definitely, they'll put you in that category, like, of straight edge, which, I mean, you are. And
I am fully straight edge, yeah.
Yeah. That's commendable. I mean, I never saw myself being straight edge 10 years ago, but here I am, and I enjoy life a lot more.
Yeah, because, like, I look at all these people that are like, here's why people don't really know I'm straight edge, because I'm not judgmental about it.
Yeah.
All these people, like, try to be holier than thou and be like, oh, but I'm straight at the CM Punk. They try to do the whole heel CM Punk straight edge, but they do it in their real life. And it's just like, no. Live and let live, guy. Like, just let people do what they want to do. I'll do what I want to do, and we need more people like that. It's just like, come on, guys. Like, why do we got to be that way? I do not understand it, but
while we do have Benny here,
yes,
OVW, bro.
Yeah, let's wrap up with that.
Did you see Batista naked? Since that's the question everyone asks on the internet.
I see Batista naked?
Yes.
No. There are stories that I can't really tell you.
Oh, that's paid show, brother.
My first match was with Ryback. I almost died.
Your first match was with Ryback?
Yeah, it was. Me and like 4 other guys worked Ryback.
It doesn't matter. Ryback was in your first. Dude, look at this. I love this.
I told you Benny's great,
he
dude.
broke his ankle taking down the ring like a week or 2 after that. We were at this old country bar. I don't even know if it's there. It was called Lebanon Junction or something in the middle of Kentucky. And he was taking down the ring, and you had to like take a step off, like while you're carrying the boards. And he took 1 step off, and he's just like, "Oh, I just broke my ankle." And he was out for 6 months, but he just screamed it at us.
Oh, that makes me so
who
happy.
else was in your class? Like name wise,
I was there right at the end, right when WWE was about to pull out. So it was like CM Punk and Brent Albright.
Okay, yeah.
It was that kind of era. I was doing security around that. One time I did security for Brock Lesnar at an autograph sign, and I'm like, what am I going to do that Brock is like what am I going to do if someone attacks Brock Lesnar, you know?
It's always like you see those UFC fighters that have security guards around them, and it's just like, what are you even doing right now, dude? He could fuck every single one of them up. Oh, my God. Man, we got to have him back on.
Terre Haute, brother.
Yeah, I can tell.
We're
going to
make this happen.
Of these stories.
Oh my God, that's the thing is that we're just kind of speed running the podcast today, just because we needed to. We got this thing called content that we need to create. Because we have Patreon backers that we need to keep happy.
I spent a lot of time around like CM Punk, and Joey Mercury was my trainer. So like
Joey Mercury, I did know that actually. I think I did know that yeah, you were trained by.
A lot of parties. There's stories I could tell you. Some of the stuff I got to leave out due to like legal issues.
Oh, for sure.
That's paid show, brother.
That's when whenever we're behind a paid wall, all the cuffs are off. But Benny, man, this was awesome. We definitely got to have him on for a full podcast at some point, Madrox.
Yeah, it's only a couple hour drive. I'd love to come up there.
I guarantee it's going to be a 2-parter.
Oh, it'll be a 2-parter.
You got to have the mocktails though.
Oh, absolutely. I'll make you a dark and stormy.
All right, sounds good.
Love it. But again, we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Thank you to Terry and Ollie for being on here on the first half. Thank you, Benny, for being here. Welcome to the MadBash crew. Love to have you. You can find me on Instagram at DW_mischievous_rabbit. Benny, where can they find you on all the socials?
Oh, I'm on Instagram at fake Benny Bray because everybody puts real and then their name, so I just me being stupid, I put fake Benny Bray, and they can find my fan page Benny Bray on Facebook. If you type Benny Bray wrestler, you'll find all you need.
Yeah, very simple stuff. Madrox is not on social media because he hates it, but MadBash, MadBashStudios.com. You can find all of our stuff there, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you down the road on a piece of content.
Namaste.